Hello everyone and welcome back. It's Foot Forecast. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my FA Cup roundup, and I'm going to start with Hull City vs Chelsea, where we saw a dominant win for Chelsea in this game over Hull, and Liam Rosenior's return to Hull. Both sides made changes going into this game. Chelsea had massive opportunities before the first goal through Delap and Esteval, and I couldn't believe they actually missed, especially Esteval. Pedro Neto, though, made up for this and scored a hat-trick in this game. He looked dangerous in his new role in the 10. Delap also deserves credit despite missing that chance early on, because he set up 3 goals, especially for creating the Esteval goal and the hold-up play for the Neto goal. Hull did have chances in this game to at least make it interesting, but they were unable to convert them, and it was always going to be a tough game going up against a Prem opposition. So then we're on to the next game, which was between Burnley and Mansfield, the only FA Cup upset which happened in this weekend, and Burnley can only blame themselves for resting players. And I don't understand this, because they've got no chance of staying up, so you might as well try go on a bit of a cup run. Burnley did start the better in this game, and they went 1-0 up through Josh Lawrence. It was a very good goal, and Burnley had plenty of chances to make it too. In the second half, though, Mansfield started to improve and started to create chances, and they equalised through Oates, and then they actually managed to win the game for a top free kick from Louis Reed to make it 2-1. An incredible result for Mansfield, reaching the 5th round. This will pile on the pressure for Parker from the Burnley fan base, but the owners don't care about the FA Cup, so this won't be a reason why he could potentially be sacked. Overall, Burnley were very poor in this game, apart from that Josh Lawrence goal. So then we've got the next game, which is between Burton and West Ham, and as you'd expect, West Ham rested players in this game, and it nearly cost them, and they played a different system, a 3 at the back. This was one of the better FA Cup ties that we saw. Both sides had chances in this game, but there was a lack of quality overall. Burton also probably should have had a penalty for a Mavropanos challenge in the back of the Burton player. West Ham, though, did go 1-0 up in this game eventually through Somerville, a player in great form right now. Freddie Potts was then sent off after a bad challenge, and Burton applied the pressure at the end, but they failed to score. This is an example of why FA Cup replays are needed. A replay at the London Stadium would have been huge for Burton, a club struggling financially in the relegation zone of League One. But sides in the Prem wanted this scrapped because it doesn't generate enough money for them compared to a Premier League game or even just a random friendly in the middle of nowhere. An absolute disgrace, and another example of football being ruined by money. In terms of standout performances for West Ham, I thought Ezra Mayers was very good. So then we've got the next game, which was between Aston Villa and Newcastle, and Villa made changes going into this game. Newcastle only made a couple, and this game was highlighted by poor referee decisions. The first one was a goal scored by Tammy Abraham. It was a very clever free kick, but he was clearly offside. There was a poor challenge after this from Digne on Murphy, which should have been a clear red card, but he wasn't sent off. Bizot was then rightfully sent off for a red card at the end of the first half, so at least they got something right, and this changed the game going into the second half, as Villa did have the better chances. But this won't make up for one of the worst referee decisions I've ever seen. Are the referees blind? Because the referee gave a free kick instead of a penalty for a handball when it was clearly in the box. I can't understand how you ever thought that wasn't a penalty. I don't want VAR, but these decisions just show how incompetent referees are and how much they have to rely on them now. Fortunately for Newcastle, Tonali equalised from a free kick. Newcastle then made it 2-1 after a great strike from outside the box, once again from Tonali. Voltemada then made it 3-1 after a poor giveaway from Bogard. This was a great result for Newcastle with no Bruno G, which unfortunately has been highlighted by poor referee decisions. Newcastle individually were very good in this game, apart from Asalu, who struggled up front. So then we've got the next game, which was between Liverpool and Brighton. Liverpool went with a strong lineup for this game, apart from a couple of changes. Slot knew he needed to win this game to keep the fans on side. or at least not turn any more Liverpool fans against them. Brighton went with a strong lineup apart from a couple of changes up front, and Liverpool were the better side in the first half, and they were rewarded for this when Curtis Jones put Liverpool 1-0 up after a great ball in from Kirkes. Kirkes was excellent in this game and provided a great threat down the left-hand side. Brighton had chances after this goal before and after half-time, but they were unable to take these chances. Szoboszlai then made it 2-0, a brilliant goal after a good pass to find them from Mo Salah. Szoboszlai is playing with so much confidence right now. And then Mo Salah also won a penalty, which was great work from Salah, and he also converted the penalty emphatically from the spot. Liverpool then thought they had made it 4-0, but a goal was disallowed for offside. It should have been allowed though, because Rio was onside. This was a dominant win for Liverpool in this game over Brighton. The two fullbacks, Mo Salah and Szoboszlai, were excellent. So then we're on to the next game, which was between Birmingham and Leeds. And Leeds made quite a few changes for their trip to the Midlands, and Birmingham had the better chances in the first half, but they couldn't find the goal. And you need to take your chances, especially when you're going up against Premier League opposition. And it resulted in the Metcha making it 1-0 at the start of the second half. Blues then equalised through Roberts at the end of the second half to make a 1-0 and send the game to extra time. Birmingham had more chances in extra time to win this game, but they were unable to put the ball in the back of the net, which meant that the game went to penalties, where Leeds went through thanks to Lucas Perry, who made a good save, who was excellent in this game, and a Longstaff penalty. Leeds weren't convincing, but they found a way to go through to the next round. So then we've got the next game between Manchester City and Salford, and I like the look at this game between two sides from Greater Manchester. And Man City rested quite a few players in this game, but it was still a strong lineup going into this game, and they went 1-0 up early through a Dorrington own goal. Marmoush then scored a brilliant goal, but it was disallowed for offside, despite Marmoush being clearly onside. From here, it looked like Man City were actually going to batter Salford, but City struggled and Salford had some chances, but Trafford made some good saves. Mark Gahey, though, did score at the end to secure the 3 points for City. Not the most convincing performance, but they're through to the next round. Individually, there weren't any standout performances, and Foden was poor once again. But I would like to give some credit to Salford. They actually played quite well in this game, and it's an improvement on their last game against City, where they lost 8-0 last season. So then we've got the next game, which is between Arsenal and Wigan, and Arsenal dominated this game 4-0 against a struggling Wigan side, and they were 4-0 up before the 30th minute mark. Eze provided 2 brilliant assists. Those are the sort of performances he needs to provide week after week. Madueke, Martinelli and Jesus finished off their chances really well. I was surprised Arsenal started Saka in this game, and I was even more surprised he started in the 10. But because of Arsenal's great start to the game, they were able to bring him off at half-time so he could be rested before Arsenal's next game against Wolves in 2 days. So then we've got Grimsby at home to Wolves, and Grimsby look to create another cup upset in this game after their win against Manchester United. Wolves picked a strong lineup for this game, and they should, because they've got nothing to fight for in the Prem as they're going down, and it was a terrible Grimsby pitch that they played on, but that's part of the cup, having to travel to sides like this. And in the first half of the game, it was an even game between the two sides, and neither side having great chances. But Wolves found the winning goal in this game through Santiago Bueno in the 60th minute. It wasn't the best performance from Wolves, but it was enough to progress. Andre and Gomez played well in the midfield together. Then we've got the next game, which was between Stoke and Fulham. Fulham picked a rotated lineup for this game, and they only had a couple of regular starters for this game, and Stoke took advantage of this early on. A great finish from Bay. Kevin had some early chances before half-time, but he couldn't find the equaliser for Fulham because Simpkin made some top saves. But Kevin did equalise for Fulham in this game. And Fulham also found the winning game late on after a poor pass by Simpkin, which ended with Harrison Reed putting the ball into the back of the net. A solid performance from Fulham after going 1-0 down in this game. Then we've got the next game, which is between Oxford and Sunderland rested some players going into this game against Oxford. Sunderland scored the opening goal of this game from the penalty spot through Diarra after Sirkin won the penalty. Sunderland had chances to make it 2-0, but they were unable to do this. It didn't matter, however, because Sunderland kept the clean sheet and Oxford offered little throughout in this game. Most players for Sunderland performed well in this game. Isdor could have performed better, considering this was a big opportunity to get back into the starting lineup. So then we've got the next game between Wrexham and Ipswich. Both sides made quite a few changes going into this game. Ipswich made more changes. It would have been nice to see them have a proper go at it with a stronger lineup, because their next game is against the same opposition in a week, so they could afford to pick a strong lineup. There were chances for both sides in this game, but it was Wrexham who went 1-0 up through Josh Windass. It was a great ball in from Longman, who had a good game overall for Wrexham. Once again, a lack of quality in the number 9 position cost Ipswich. Hurst had chances and so did Akpom playing deeper, but they couldn't put the ball into the back of net, and no one for Ipswich could find the back of net. It was a very even game, but Wrexham just took their chances better. In terms of what this game means going forward, Wrexham and Ipswich are playing each other next week, which is a crucial game for both sides in the Champ, and it'll be interesting to see how this result changes that game. So then we've got the next game, which was between Norwich and West Brom. Neither side put a strong lineup out for this game. Both sides had chances early on, and Albion hit the post, but it was Norwich who went 1-0 up from a corner through Magmoa. Both West Brom keepers, Griffiths and O'Leary, made some crucial saves in this game. The reason for the two keepers is that Griffiths went off injured at half-time, and West Brom were rewarded for sort of just sticking in that game through a magic goal to make it 1-0. But Norwich came back and won the game 3-1. Another goal scored by Toure. What a start from him. And the work from Slimani to find Toure is incredible. Whitewell and Imre were poor for West Brom in this game. So then we've got the next game between Southampton and Leicester. Both sides made changes going into this game. Leicester didn't make as many as they wanted a response after the embarrassing 4-3 loss against the same opposition after being 3-0 up at half-time. Southampton went 1-0 up in this game from the penalty spot, despite both sides creating very little. Skip then equalised. It was a brilliant overhead kick, and both sides before extra time had chances to win the game, but the game was won by James Bree in extra time after a Manning free kick. Neither side was great in this game. Very disappointing for Leicester, who put out the stronger lineup, and they desperately needed a response after the loss against the same opposition. Let me know your thoughts on this FA Cup roundup, and if you enjoyed this video, go subscribe to the new channel as well as liking the video.